Let's see if you can read me. Go ahead.
You weren't feeling the most productive.
No, I'm fine. I'm going to keep drinking my coffee before I eat any food.
Yo, 5 a.m. I'm at the gym, bros.
I don't know. We could try birth control. Like, that's usually what everyone hears, right?
Always having birth control at the palm of our hand. It's just kind of keeping us slow and dumb.
Nobody's asking you, like, what's going on in your life? How stressed are you?
They thought it was all bullshit. We can get ahead of the game if we focus on our cycle.
I'm sure you have PMS symptoms and, like, listen to your body.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Queer Collective podcast. I'm your host, Carbon.
I'm Emily.
I'm Miranda.
And welcome to the show. And this episode is brought to you by Vizzy Hard Seltzer and Isle, but more on that later.
What if I told you that painful periods aren't normal and the way we work, eat, and live are the reason so many of us are struggling? In today's episode, we're going to have a gender-neutral conversation about biohacking your menstrual cycle to be smarter, faster, stronger, and healthier. Because menstrual health is for everybody.
And with us today, we have Miranda, who is the go-to expert for helping menstruators decode their cycles, balance their hormones, and finally ditch the period drama for good. Through the Period Lab, Miranda takes the science of hormones and makes it practical, empowering people to work with their bodies instead of fighting against them. Miranda, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Great. We want to start out this episode by disclaiming that periods are not just for women. Trans men and non-binary people also menstruate, and trans women on hormones can also experience PMS symptoms. So throughout this episode, we're going to be using inclusive language like menstruators, people who menstruate, and more. At certain points when we're speaking about biological and physiological aspects and differences between bodies, we may use terms like male and female, but we're doing our best to degender this overall conversation. And we'll also be giving recommendations later on in the episode for folks who are on hormone therapy like HRT and estrogen. So stick around.
Getting into it. Hormonal issues are on the rise. Studies are showing that kids are getting their periods earlier and less regularly, and reproductive health problems for menstruators are rising at an alarming rate. And what do you think, from your expertise, is going on?
This is a great conversation. I'm going to toss it back. What was your childhood like? Was it
my childhood?
Starts crying.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're going to go into it like that? Yeah, that's what we're starting off with.
we're opening up the trauma bond here. Like, I think my childhood was stressful in the sense that we moved a lot. Mm-hmm. And because we moved a lot, I didn't have like a lot of friends because it was just like quickly fleeting. Mm-hmm. When my period came, I do remember the first time I got it. And I was like, I stayed home from school because my stomach hurt so bad. And I'm like, I don't know what this is, but my stomach hurts so bad. Mm-hmm. And at one point I had a cramp so bad that I like dropped to my knees. And I was like, I think I'm dying. And then...
You've always been dramatic.
Yeah, I have always been dramatic. But that one, I remember it being so painful. I'm like, how is this painful? Mm-hmm. And then I got my period and I was like, oh, that's the thing that we like read about.
I mean, you know that there's a study that like God gave queers the like most painful symptoms, right?
Yeah, or they're strongest soldiers.
The strongest ones with the herdiest tummies. Yeah. So the reason that I throw it back is because I think it's so important to actually reflect. Why are kids getting their periods earlier? So majority of the time, we're not considering what the environment is like. Very rarely did our parents ever go through some kind of therapy so they could process their own shit. And then we're dealing with these parents that are perfectionists or parents that couldn't show up because they're people pleasers or they don't have any boundaries around work, so they can't show up for us. Our cortisol levels are going up high. Or maybe we don't have a full support system for our nutrition, right? Maybe we're also dealing with stress in the same way that our parents did. For me, I've gone through my shit now at this point, but I was dealing, we're healed.
You never know.
But like,
sometimes it comes back.
Yo!
Not to jinx you, but.
You don't even know. But yeah, my dad was dealing with crazy anger management issues. I grew up in an abusive upbringing. When I tell you that I had the most debilitating periods because I also couldn't respond with I couldn't handle my own stress. You have to also consider, what are these kids going through? My parents are coming from a small town world thinking that therapy's for crazy people, not I'm going to deal with my shit so I'm not blowing up on my kid so she doesn't regulate the same way as me and I'm not having these crazy periods. So we have to consider what's going on with the environment for one. You were traveling a ton. Travel also has an impact on your cycle, whether you like it or not. Stimulation is always going to pump out adrenaline. You could be at Disney World having the best time, but that adrenaline is still going to be pumping, and that adrenaline is always going to be competing with progesterone, which is going to stop you from being symptom-free.
The interesting thing that I was seeing in studies too, the ones that are showing that kids, like the median age for your first menstrual cycle has like gone down by 2 years. It's also showing that it's younger in kids who are coming from lower income backgrounds, and it's also younger for racialized kids as well. So it does show like the impact of like minority stress on something like this as well.
We have to consider all of that.
Yeah.
And then we have to consider, of course, social media and the pressures and the stimulation. So like how our cortisol levels changed from when our parents got their periods to us to these younger kids now, right? So that's going to be a big piece. And then on top of it, yeah, there's going to be the financial struggles with food, but kids are not eating enough vegetables. My upbringing consisted of cereal, or if you guys know what cinnamon toast is.
Oh, yeah.
Brown sugar cinnamon toast. And then I would have
way to wake up.
the best way. It's like, let's have brown sugar toast. And then
Hit me
let's
with it,
have
first thing.
a snack plate, a Lunchable. And then we'll have maybe like pasta at dinner time. At no point are these going to support the kids in not getting their period at a reasonable time in their lives. I cannot imagine a 9-year-old trying to figure out how to work a tampon.
But speaking of handling a tampon, I think most of us, or hopefully most of us, are aware now that, you know, certain period products contain lots of chemicals, like bleaching chemicals, etc. And there's such a thing as PFA chemicals.
From tampons to pads, for sure they can lead to more infections, and they can also cause more issues. But then you also have to be so careful with a lot of the leak-proof underwear too, because even there's so many new brands that are coming out, and they didn't even know that the company that they were using that was stated as clean was using a harmful chemical. So it's like so much backlash is happening. You really need to make sure that you're not just trusting everything that is on the shelves. But your cycle will tell you everything, from what you're using to what you are eating to what you are inserting inside of you. Your body will always tell you what is going on in order for you to be symptom-free.
So you feel like they do actually impact your cycle, and like which way would you think they would?
It can be it can lean more towards the endometriosis or the heavier periods, the cramps, like anything that's more along the lines of estrogen dominance.
In terms of period products, what would you deem as like the most safe?
I'm going to give you two answers. I'm going to say one, it's going to be always like leak-proof underwear. But then at the same time too, you have to always make sure, of course, brands are working for you. But if you wanted to go for the Diva Cup, if you wanted to go for pads, like at the end of the day, if you have a pelvic floor that is already so tight or is causing you already so much pain, like if it's causing you pain during sex, or if you're experiencing period cramps, or if you are dealing with heavier periods, think of your pelvic floor as like a bicep, and it's clenched it's flexed all the time. Trying to insert something in there too in that small space is going to be so hard if it's already like freaking out like this. Right? That's like somebody trying to unclench or unflex that bicep curl. The goal here is to make sure that you're always supporting your pelvic floor. And then from there, I'm going to say for anybody who is dealing with the period cramps, you want to try to go for as low inflammatory, supportive to the pelvic floor as much as you can. So the leak-proof underwear or pads are always going to be my favorite.
Yeah, we've switched to Diva Cups, and then now we're also switching to period underwear, which is nice, and have like specifically chosen Isle.
I have a heavy flow, and it's actually super annoying when I go to bed with a tampon in or a Diva Cup and I wake up to a bloody mess because it's leaked everywhere. Now, period underwear like Isle has actually been such a huge game changer for me because now I can get a restful sleep and wake up without any mess.
Today's episode is brought to you by Isle, the original period underwear company. Proudly queer-owned, Isle has been leading the way in sustainable period care since 1993, redefining what period products can do for you and the planet for nearly 3 decades.
Let's talk about their Boost Boxer. Now, this is a period underwear like you've never experienced before. The Boost Boxer is a reliable, comfortable, and inclusive style option for everybody. Yes, everybody. body. Whether you're on the go, working from home, or looking for overnight protection that you can count on, this boxer brief is designed to move with you.
So what makes it so special, you might ask? First, it's made with sustainable fabrics that are breathable and leak-proof, so you stay comfortable and dry all day long. It's made for the heaviest of flows. The leak-proof gusset is sewn from the front of the waistband all the way to the back, while the removable boost liner lets you customize your absorbency level, giving you extra protection when you need it most. And unlike some other reusable period products, the Boost Boxer is PFAS-free and designed to keep you feeling fresh with no leaks.
And as if the underwear wasn't good enough, another reason why we love Isle so much is because they are a certified B Corp. That means that they're held to some of the highest standards for social and environmental responsibility. It's period care that you can feel good about, literally and figuratively.
So why settle for less when you can have it all? Inclusive styles, comfort, sustainability, and performance. Head to periodisle.com and use code QueerCollective for 15% off. Isle, sustainable period products for every body.
Thank you, Isle, for sponsoring this episode.
You have so much control over all of your symptoms, including that. And I'm even going to say that would still be a symptom. And then we would want to look at this at a deeper level. Does it start off brown? Does it start off light pink? Does it end light brown? Does it end light pink? Even that is part of the whole entire scenario as to why this bleed is so heavy. Because it shouldn't be inconvenient. A healthy period is anywhere from, I'm going to say, 3 to 7 days. I like a 3-4 day bleed. That's what I try to get all my period lab babes to lean into. It's showing up as kind of like an unsettled jello mixture. It's not too heavy. It's not too clotty, but we want it to start off red and come every 20 to 32 days.
How do you get there?
We have to.
That's a long-winded answer, right?
No, I mean, a big part of it. So when I'm looking at the client, I need to make sure that I've got a few pillars. We always need to support cortisol levels. So if you are dealing with elevated levels of cortisol, and again, stimulation, it doesn't have to be bad cortisol, it doesn't have to be bad stimulation, but as soon as adrenaline is kicked in, progesterone is going to have a hard time coming through. It's always going to win the race. So if you're being chased by a wild-toothed tiger, what is more important for your survival? Reproductive hormones or adrenaline for you to keep running, right?
Yeah.
It's always going to be that reproductive hormone. So your body is going to recognize if reproductive hormones were released, you're going to be the first one eaten. So it's not going to worry about that progesterone. It's going to worry about how do I feed the body more adrenaline, which is also going to impact insulin. We are these kind of similar to functioning alcoholics. We are these imbalanced blood sugar adults that are just like bouncing from one blood sugar crash to the next. If you were to wear a glucose monitor when you're stressed out, when you guys are fighting, you would see your blood sugar levels go nuts. That alone is going to continue to fuel that heavy bleed. And then another example would be like going too long without eating or skipping meals, being low in protein, things that are going to impact the insulin. So we've got cortisol that's always going to fuel more estrogen. And then we've got blood sugar regulation, which is going to also fuel more cortisol. Then the last, we want to focus on how your body is able to process that excess estrogen. So that's always going to come back to what's going on with your liver, what's going on with your gut, your large intestine. Majority of us are really struggling with the liver. This is also a great conversation for anyone who's dealing with taking testosterone. It always needs to come back to how your body is processing things. Otherwise, at the end of the day, you can eat well, you can take all the supplements. You are always going to experience symptoms if your liver, large intestine, gut are shit. So think of it as like a bottleneck is your liver. Majority of society is okay with that first phase of the liver. Sometimes we're having a bowel movement. The goal is to have 2 to 3 bowel movements a day without the help of caffeine. And then the bottleneck is where everybody struggles.
2 to 3 a day?
2 to 3 a day.
I'm not doing it right.
You thought I was the unhealthy one.
Right? Otherwise, like, where's that estrogen going to go? If your liver's processing everything and you're eating food and you've got toxins and cortisol and alcohol or whatever it else is in your system, and it's not getting out of your system, it's not getting out of your body, and it's just stacking up, where does it go? It's going to continue to recirculate back into the bloodstream and become more toxic. It's going to fuel the estrogen, even if it's a salad. If you can't process this, then you're going to have all these estrogen issues.
I feel like the narrative too in Western medicine is that all PMS symptoms and period-related pain is normal. And I'm wondering, what do you think about that? Because I've been hearing it like nonstop as well.
PMS is
since high
normal.
school. Yeah, of course. Like having deeply painful periods and then like going into the doctor and them just saying this is just the way it is. I don't know. We could try birth control. Like that's usually what everyone hears, right?
That was me too. I mean, I was dealing with periods that would last 6 weeks at a time. I was dealing with crazy mood swings, like rest in peace to my father, but he had the moodiest daughter in the world. They thought I had brain tumors. They were testing me for cancer. And then they thought I was bipolar. Nobody ever sat me down and broke down the whys, what's, how. So as soon as I understood these pillars, and of course I went to school, I was able to break this down for myself. And never did I ever think this was going to turn into a full-blown practice almost 6-7 years ago. But here we are. Everybody thinks that these symptoms are the lot that they've been given in life, but we're also in a society that is not supporting you and questioning your shit. We are told to also always trust our doctors when our doctors are not studying our biology.
Or anything about nutrition at all. I think the wild thing is like nutrition is how you're fueling your body. It's what is making up your body every single day. And the fact that Western medicine is really centered around treating the symptom, not curing the problem, I feel. And then it's just causing more and more symptoms from like my personal experience. And I think many other people. It's like I have been struggling with stage 4 endometriosis for like this past year. And anytime I go in and I'll tell them like, oh, I've figured out like I've reduced my pain doing this, this, and this with my diet. They're like, oh, okay. Anyway, here's like more hormones we could try, but there's never a holistic approach to it where you're looking at everything. Because I'm not saying that Western medicine is all bad. It's important. There's been lots of great research, but it should always be in tandem with nutrition as well. It just makes no sense. Not just nutrition,
but like nobody's asking you like what's going on in your life. How stressed are you? Yeah. Are you financially stable? Are you like mentally stable? Are you on antidepressants? Like they're not asking any of these questions that could be potentially like kind of influencing or tampering with like your overall well-being.
I mean, let me say this. Like if you are a first responder and you are somebody that is in the eye of society as someone that's deemed to trust, everybody thinks that you have all the answers. Majority of doctors have only ever been given 6 hours of nutrition in an 18-year career that's split up into 2 different 3-hour sessions. So what's one thing that you guys have learned in 18 years that you learned for 6 hours? Do you remember what that is? Majority of doctors are not going to remember. Majority of doctors are also not getting the respect in their own practice, in their own medical industry to study our health. So we've got CAMH that's actually able to show up and they are specializing in our female biology to support us in getting the right medication, because majority of the time we're put on all these medications and protocols that are based off of male biology, and it's making our symptoms worse to the point of stage 4 suicidal. And we're not thinking what happens at stage 1. I work with people at stage 1, and that's making sure that we've got all these pillars organized. And it's blowing my mind that at stage 4, I'm hearing that they're doing exactly what I'm doing. Why do we have to wait until they're deemed as suicidal just to get this kind of information and education? That blows my mind.
Another frustrating thing that you brought up is just the fact that there isn't any testing happening on the female body, or there wasn't before. It's like slowly beginning more. And we're going to talk about like male versus female biology and how so many things in our society are built that way. But just that it's easier to test on a male body, or male mice is usually probably what they're using, because it's a 24-hour clock instead of like our bodies, which are changing constantly. I think that's also why it comes down to them. The answer is always being anytime there is an issue for a menstruator, it's always try birth control, because that's often like the only thing that they have, because they haven't been testing on our bodies at all. That has become like especially loud for me this past year with dealing with endometriosis, is like there's such few solutions, and it's like 1 in 8 menstruators are experiencing this. That's absurd that so many people are struggling with this condition, and it becomes like a chronic illness because there's no solution to it. When I feel like if you actually put money towards something, it seems like something that could be solved in my mind, you know?
It's insane, because I was in a clinic and it was also with men, and managed by men, and they were actually saying, like, do not focus on women too much. You don't want to niche down. You're going to lose a lot of potential clients and leads. And like, business was already great. I was good at my shit, but as soon as COVID happened and I was able to get rid of them, I was able to fully lean into this, and it has just popped off. We want answers more than anything. And it's so interesting to see the second that you give these people a platform to understand, not just being given the answers. People don't just want meal plans. We're starting, especially post-COVID, everybody's starting to question things or want research that's behind something. I could not post anything confidently without having maybe like 5 to 10 sources of information, because I also knew that I was going to be backlashed by a bunch of dudes who just had it out for me because they didn't like this information. They thought it was all bullshit. Yet here we are taking off, and we're healing endometriosis, PCOS, endo, cysts, fibroids, adeno. I am dealing with people who are unable to hold their own pregnancy and have 3 eggs to now they can hold the pregnancy and they've got 15 eggs. That is significantly different when you are going the holistic route. But when you're working with people, my biggest learning lesson has been that they need to understand what's going on. You cannot just feed them some kind of meal plan and a list of supplements and you think that it's going to work. So currently, the doctor and nutritionist model, business model, they don't work.
Like pairing them together, in your opinion?
Just in the sense of like, you see a doctor and then when do you see them next? Is there any communication in between? Did they give you any kind of resources? How are they supporting you and checking you in between? Same with a nutritionist, dietitian, naturopath. You see them once every 3 months. So much happens in the 3 months and so much you can learn. Like, if we actually want to understand this estrogen dominance, we need to understand what's going on with ovulation. How is that supported? Because when you ovulate, as much as this is called the menstrual cycle, it really should be called the ovulatory cycle. Everything is based off of ovulation. I want you to start seeing that your period is a reflection of how everything else is going and how ovulation is showing up for you.
Kind of on this same note, I'm wondering if you can explain how the 9 to 5 workday is increasing the risk of burnout for menstruators specifically.
We've got our 4 phases. You've got your follicular, ovulation, luteal, menstrual. So our hormones are literally, like my fingers, our hormones are rising and then they are falling. This is happening throughout the month. This also happens every single day for men. So if we are dealing with a 28-day cycle, that's the circadian rhythm that's matching the sleep-wake cycle. We have this too, but then we also have this 28-day cycle that's going around like this, right?
It's like a solar system
It's
thing.
a full solar system. So we need to make sure that we are supporting, yes, the circadian cycle, but this is something that is not considered. It's so complex. And because we can't always mimic your cycle to my cycle, that we're in these constant elements of mystery that were too much work to try to understand or to regulate. So they just don't. So they take something that is the most consistent. College men is usually what majority of studies are based off of. Otherwise, women in menopause, why do you think? They're the closest to college men.
So they're testing on women in menopause who aren't on this cycle anymore.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting closer to having that 24-day cycle rather than also dealing with the 28. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So when we're dealing with hormonal shift, we also have to take into consideration what is happening almost every single phase for us. Because for men, one thing that's happening in their brain chemistry morning to evening, but in our 4 phases, follicular ovulation, our right brain hemisphere are the most dominant. And then our luteal phase, it's our left brain hemisphere. And then during our menstrual phase, it's our left and right brain hemisphere that communicate the most. You're not always left or right brain left or right brain. That is a myth. You are always using both sides, but when you are dominant, it's also based off of where your estrogen levels are. Right brain hemisphere, we're going to be more creative. We're going to be more social, and ovulation is at that side too. So like when estrogen's rising, you're feeling a little frisky. Maybe you're feeling yourself, confidence up. You're maybe more verbal, more social. When you're in that luteal phase, you're in more of that logistic state of like, let me just cross off that laundry list of things I need to do. Maybe we're not communicating so well and you're starting to tune more inwards. And then we get into that menstrual phase. And this is the coolest thing about our biochemistry, is because so many of us are told to ignore it and to keep pushing along.
Yeah, and that's where the burnout is coming in, is like we're expected to perform the exact same way every single day, but we are not the same person every single day.
We have this crazy superpower. When you're bleeding, your left and right brain hemisphere are communicating the most, where you are able to reflect on like a different level that you cannot reach when you're in your follicular and ovulation phase.
Do males, do they experience this as well, but just like in the course of a day rather than...
Yeah.
So
It's
like...
usually like 6 a.m. for them, where it's like high peak, like equivalent to like our follicular ovulation. And then they start going down into the luteal and then menstrual the later part of the day. And then they just get to reset.
So most should be like morning people. If you think about it, like you'd be the most productive in the morning.
Why dudes
rise and
are
grind?
usually like, yo, 5 a.m. I'm at the gym, bros. Like, if you're not at the gym at 3:30, like you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, but it's also taken into consideration too, like morning wood is a big part of healthy hormones and what you are waking up with, and testosterone and estrogen. So it's so interesting because so many men are also now in this day and age, they're dealing with burnout too, and crazy amount of fatigue. They have some of the worst levels of testosterone.
Guys, I understand you better.
So how can we biohack our menstrual cycle, like use all of these different phases in our favor to help us, I guess, like refrain from burning out so much?
I like to almost think of it as like, no matter who you are, that you have some kind of cycle that's happening for you. How that cycle is working for you is something that you need to learn so you can biohack your shit. So when we're specifically talking about, let's say, AFAB or menstruators, we want to think follicular and ovulation as a time to basically get ahead in life. When we're in that luteal phase, we want to kind of plan. When we're in that menstrual phase, we want to think of taking inventory. So when I'm thinking about business and content or managing my team, I'm going to take my follicular ovulation time when my estrogen is rising to the highest point and try to do all the things, recording all the things. I'm the most social. That's when I can crank out 2 podcasts in one day kind of thing and like go nuts. And then when I'm in my luteal phase, as soon as you ovulate, the next 5 days, you've got still some of that ovulation energy because estrogen still remains high. But then like some people are super sensitive, especially people with dealing with PMDD, but heavy PMS, people in perimenopause, you can be very sensitive to the progesterone spike and the estrogen drop that's happening about 5-7 days after ovulation. All the mood swings can come into play, but you aren't feeling the most productive. Do not think that there's anything wrong with you. Stop judging yourself. Stop putting shame that you're not as productive. It needs to be, okay, where is my brain right now? And how can I lean into that? Right now, I'm not going to communicate as much. I'm not going to be able to be super social, but I know that I can probably cross off a bunch of stuff that just requires me to do it. Or maybe it's low effort energy. And then menstrual phase, when you are bleeding, how can we see that as a time to rest, digest, take inventory? How did this go this last month? What was business like? What were the finances like? Like, how can we use that time, use that brain power? But then also, what I love so much about the menstrual phase is that you can lean into certain exercises that can support your pelvic floor, and that can still be a form of exercising for you. And it's low cortisol exercise, low stimulation. You do not need to be training your ass off, lifting heavy weights. And we can go into this because I see so many influencers who are uneducated, and it drives me crazy, that are saying you can still train on your period when you're bleeding. Don't let anybody tell you to stop. If you are dealing with endometriosis, painful periods, cramps, heavy bleeds, brown spotting, mood swings, fatigue, low blood sugar, which is majority of society, you have no business training during your period week. You are fueling your symptoms. If you don't experience those symptoms during that bleed when you are training at that time, chances are you're going to feel it in the next one. And or you're going to miss ovulation on the way there. Calm down for a second to actually connect to ourselves, what is going on with our body.
I think this is like societal idea of like you have to grind every single day, and if you miss a day, then you're doing it wrong, or like you've all
lose your gains.
Yeah, or like you're behind now. Like, and that can be applied to more than just the gym. It can be applied to work life. It can be applied 100%. To like whatever else. And it's definitely like toxic, but it's also based around this idea that males can do it, Therefore, we should too.
But we can get ahead of the game if we focus on our cycle.
Yeah.
Right? They still hit burnout and they're still going downhill come end of the day. We can also avoid that. It's really cool when we start understanding our cycle and that you can just all of a sudden be this consistent person all month long if you get rid of your symptoms. And now it's like, holy shit, we are a powerhouse. Like, watch out because we are coming for you. Like, never have you ever had somebody. Can you imagine if we had a society of people who were symptom free? How powerful we could be if we didn't have our fatigue slowing us down or our symptoms getting in our way.
I dream about it. Yeah.
It's insane, right? So coming back to biohacking, so that's just like the brain chemistry. And then when it comes to nutrition, follicular ovulation, whether you're menstruating or taking tea, you want to focus on how your elimination system is processing excess estrogen.
What's your elimination system?
Your liver, large intestine, gut, right? So that's all how your body's absorbing micronutrients, how it's processing it, how it's getting everything out, right? 2-3 bowel movements a day. When we get into the luteal phase, your metabolism speeds up by 10%. Your insulin sensitivity is decreasing, meaning that you cannot go long periods without food. Your progesterone is rising, so it slows down your large intestine transit time, meaning that you're most likely to be more constipated. But listen to what I just said. I just said that you are going to want more food. You need more food, but your body can't process it because how progesterone is being supported. So when we are in our luteal phase...
Is that right before your menstrual cycle?
Right before the period. Right before your period, when you are experiencing that bloating, constipation, change in bowel movements, it shouldn't be happening as much as it is, but you want to biohack that. You want to support that. So then come menstrual phase, it's not going to impact you.
So what should you be eating before your period? Hold that thought because this podcast is proudly sponsored by Vizzy Hard Seltzer.
That's right. And the ones that we were drinking in this episode is from their new launch, which is Vizzy Hard Seltzer Max, now with 7% alcohol. And they have vibrant new flavors like papaya pineapple, dragon fruit mango, blueberry white peach, and passion fruit kiwi.
Love it. And they all taste super good. And as always, we recommend if you are a hard seltzer drinker that you support a brand that you know also supports the queer community. And now back to the episode.
You need to eat more food, but being mindful of what that food is. More protein. You still need carbs. You still need fats. You still need vegetables. If anything, you need all of them more in that luteal menstrual phase. You might notice in your follicular ovulation that you're not as hungry. So you finish your bleed, you go into your follicular ovulation phase, you're not as hungry. Because your metabolism is also slow, your insulin is increasing, estrogen's increasing. So like, if anything, focus on proteins, fats like veggies, as if you were eating for the summer, light foods kind of
So
thing.
non-chocolate
right?
cake.
I mean, you could have chocolate cake too. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, have your veggies, help your body process it. Otherwise, that chocolate cake is going to be just trying to get out, right?
It's working overtime.
Right, exactly. And then when we get into the luteal phase, so when we have all these changes in the metabolism, insulin, progesterone, not to mention cortisol increases by 10 to 20%. Like your cortisol baseline naturally rises.
Oh boy.
And for people listening, cortisol is your stress hormone.
Yeah. So if you're telling me that you're dealing with endometriosis or heavy periods and you already suck at self-regulating, but now you're also dealing with an increase in cortisol, you are setting yourself up for failure during this menstrual phase.
We do also be stressed.
Not ideal. Not ideal at all.
Yeah. So can you practice self-regulation? Can you focus on where your brain is? Start tuning inwards. Can you focus on your blood sugar? And then can you support that elimination system? If you have those 3 pillars checked off, that luteal phase will get better. You shouldn't be feeling the hangry symptoms, the mood swings, cravings, or any like signs that, oh, period is coming. I can sense it. You don't want that. You just want to be the symptom-free person all the time.
Ideally.
Yeah.
So blood sugar seems like pretty key here as
Yeah.
well.
So does that mean not eating very much
So
sugar?
no chocolate
if
cake?
it's sparking it a lot? Like ideally, like if you're in a really bad situation like I am, would the recommendation be like don't eat sugars then?
I'll give you 2 answers.
Yeah.
One, in the most restrictive way, like, yes, I could definitely say be mindful of your sugar.
Yeah.
Don't have it. Anything that's going to cause more inflammation, anything that's going to mess with insulin is going to mess with your estrogen.
Sugar,
Sugar.
for sure.
But then at the same time, too, I'm always going to say 80-20, because if you're going to have some of that cake, which I always will try to tell all my period lab babes, that this is not about quitting things or taking things out of your routine, but how can you have a better relationship with it? That coffee that you're having before breakfast,
Don't do it.
stop.
Oh man.
Have
that's
food,
me.
but can you just, but can you,
bad.
that's why I looked at the camera. I'm like,
Yeah.
food first.
Yeah.
Have your food first.
I've been
Yeah.
told this. It's, you know what it is? It's not even a matter of like, I don't want food first. It's like, it's this ritual thing that I have now. And it's now that it's like a ritual where I have coffee first.
You
I
can
don't,
change
I'm
the
being
ritual.
stubborn about
No,
it.
You can
okay, but
definitely
like,
make
let's
a new one.
challenge this. Let's actually challenge this.
Okay.
Is it a ritual or is it a craving?
It's
That's a good question.
it's a bit of both in the sense of like,
Are you addicted?
Here's my thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I go to bed excited that I get to wake up and have coffee.
Okay, so what if
I'm
we
like, I
removed?
can't wait.
What if we removed that actual beverage, and what if it was like warm water? You can still have your same routine. Nobody's taking that routine away from you.
It's less
Exactly.
fun.
Okay, but this is the thing: is the majority of us are addicted to caffeine,
Yeah.
and when you are messing with caffeine, you're messing with 2, if not 3 of those pillars.
Oh man.
So you're fueling your own heavy bleed.
Yeah.
Like that's your own problem. I'm not saying get rid of the cake and I'm not saying get rid of the coffee. Can you have a better relationship with them? Can you always have protein first? Can you do that? Worst case scenario, can you at least have some almonds before you have some coffee? Like worst case. Can you have, if anything, like a couple bites of chicken or whatever you're going to have that's protein dominant before you have that cake? So that means it's going to be less of a spike and a crash for your blood sugar, which means that your cortisol is not going to be messed up, and it's going to be like this. And it's like,
That does
you're
sound
less
nice.
impacted. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to challenge you. We are going to document this, that Carmen's going to have
Oh,
no
God.
coffee on an empty stomach for 6 to 7 weeks. And I bet you by week 3, you're going to forget about your coffee.
That would be interesting.
Can I have
We can-
so food and then coffee?
So you can still have your coffee.
Protein, ideally, for 6 to 7
Just
weeks.
have a boiled egg.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Fine.
Have one boiled
Fine.
egg.
I'm going to do it. And then we'll see how I feel. I'll
So easy.
report back.
I think for me, it has been so severe that I've had to totally overhaul my relationship with food, because before I was seeing it as a way that I would like treat my emotions, basically. Like I would be like a big emotional eater, and I'm like starving myself throughout the day so then I can just binge eat at night. Like my relationship to food was horrible. I was like barely eating any protein. Like I'm eating like butter noodles, like just like whatever was making me feel good. And then having to totally like eliminate things that I was like obsessed with eating. Like I was obsessed with eating cheese, honestly, like to the level of addiction that you are to coffee. Like it took me 6 months to cut out dairy when I knew since high school that I was lactose intolerant, which is
Severely.
and I just kept eating it because like it's an emotional thing. We get addicted to different foods as well, and it's very challenging. But I feel like other people with chronic illnesses will attest to this, is like you have to start viewing food as like medicine and fuel rather than something that's just emotional. And it's hard because food is something that it can be like something that like brings people together. Like it's a very connective thing as well, but it's also something that so many of us have a very problematic relationship to as well, of I don't know, just so many different eating disorders. And I also feel like the food systems that we have are so broken now that we're putting so many chemicals in our body as well. The period of time where this really kicked off for me, this problem, was the two of us at the same time. We were a team at this company. We got both of us laid off our jobs at the same time. We had just moved into this new, more expensive apartment, and we were like, oh my God, like the amount of stress, like financial stress, the stress of like trying to figure out Queer Collective as a full-time job. It was really overwhelming. And then we started eating worse ingredients as well. Like I was eating the cheapest quality of meat, and then my cramps just started getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where I was having to call ambulances because I'm like, something's going to explode inside of my body. And it was so bad, but it does really show bad economics situations, bad stress situations, all of these things, what you're putting in your body, all of these things lead to very bad health outcomes. And if I could go back and tell myself, or like give a warning to anyone else, is like, take care of your body now, honestly, before, and like listen to your PMS symptoms, and like don't wait until it's stage 4 endometriosis and you're having to like fully recover your body. It's like, treat it nicely now is my recommendation
I wish I had, like,
to
a
you and your
notepad
coffee.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
Going back to like what you were saying about like waiting till it's like at a severe stage to actually start treating it is not a place that I want to get to. So yeah, I'm gonna have the boiled egg.
Yeah, but that's definitely my biggest piece of advice, because now I'm at a point where I'm having to make severe diet changes, like fully cut out dairy, fully cut out gluten, fully cut out sugar, and it's like fully cut out all beverages. Like it's like very, very serious, because I'm in like chronic pain. Like I went from working out 5 days a week to like 5 days a month. Like my pain is so bad, and the warning signs were there. You know what I mean? The warning signs have been there since high school. So it's like, I would say to most people who are listening, I'm sure you have PMS symptoms, and like listen to your body.
You would think that the warning sign of like you being on all fours in the bathroom, profusely sweating, just like throwing up and all that stuff after eating so much like dairy.
I was addicted. Seriously, it was addiction. And like I didn't think I had it in me to make a diet change like that. But the biggest piece that was a big change for me, was eating 3 times a day and eating like a complete protein 3 times a day as well, because that actually keeps you full, and then I wasn't binge eating anymore. And it's like the second you start properly eating, you're like, oh, I'm actually not like a chronic binge eater. I'm just not like fueling my body properly.
So what you were doing is that you were coming back to supporting that blood sugar pillar. I absolutely believe in coming together and clinking glasses. That is the number one memory that I'm holding on to since my dad passed away. And I need to make sure that I am always supporting that with other families as well too. So I'm never going to put somebody on some kind of diet that's fighting against the rest of their family. Like, that is pure chaos. You're not going to be able to maintain supporting your health if this is something that's impacting the whole house now. But we have to always look at this connection with food, for sure. Like, professional figure skater, went pro when I was 18, and I was signed.
You're a pro figure skater?
Yeah.
What the hell? Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, but my body was so fucked up it shut me down. But yeah, when I was signed at 18, I was put on a weight contract. Like, you are signed with being 116 pounds. And I was not allowed to increase my weight. I had basically a 10-pound allowance to go up or down.
Wow.
And they were always pushing the eating disorder behavior. And I was fainting, dealing with periods that would last, like I said, 6 weeks at a time, and felt like I was just gaining weight by breathing, and nobody was talking to me about my bleeds or fainting. It was just like, here's a diet pill. Here's a plan. Like, I just will never forget when my performing director accidentally sent me an email for a diet plan.
Yeah.
That's so random. I've never gotten an email from you like that before, a personal email. Like, that was just so sketchy. So when I got that was like a big trigger for me. And then at the time I was engaged to a guy, and we ended up having a miscarriage. I want to be able to have kids at some point, and I never want to go through that experience ever again. But I had crazy addictions to food, and alcohol was another. Like, I used to drink just to black out. That was the goal. It was never about like just having a drink after work or something like that. Like, I didn't want to be awake, and I would sleep until the very last minute I had to wake up, because I did not want to be awake. It was such a dark time, and nobody communicated about how I'm leaning on food. So I see a lot of patterns with a lot of the people that I work with. Usually if you're dealing with fibroids or cysts, they're the 9-to-9ers with no boundaries, and then they go so hard on the weekend. Then I'm dealing with the PCOS honeys, and they are the people pleaser perfectionists that they're doing so much, and they're just continuing to smile to the point where they're pushing everything down, and they don't ovulate. And then I'm seeing the people with endometriosis.
See if you can read me. Go ahead.
Lack of boundary settings.
Boom.
But it's a common thing. And it's not just you. And you're all human beings. You're having a human being response. Like, how you are responding is your chemical makeup, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's no point in judging. It's just about seeing, what are these things, or how are my triggers and my trauma reactions impacting my relationship with food to the point where I don't have any boundary, so I become addicted, or I also am a perfectionist people pleaser that I can't eat until the kitchen is spotless, or I can't go to sleep until I've completely cleaned the kitchen. Like, now it's disrupting with your priorities, or we're drinking so much over the weekend to make up for the lack of boundaries that we have, and fibroid cysts are developing, or even I'm going to say majority of Black people are dealing with fibroid cysts.
Why is that? Why is that different?
It's actually like chemical makeup, genetics, like it's a whole entire thing, but we also have to take into consideration the cortisol. Like, it's wild how our hormones and our emotional reactions are also some of the drivers to how we are living day to day. How productive are you? How much sleep you're getting? What your fitness levels are like? Are you able to achieve pregnancy? Like, things that we want to maintain in life.
That's what I missed too. I also had to calm the fuck down, which I'm still working on that.
Fair. It's hard.
That's the hardest part, actually. I thought food would be the hardest part.
Yeah.
It's like the stressors in your life. It's very challenging, especially like I've been just like stressed since childhood. Like, just I would sit at home and think about every scenario that could possibly happen to my mom on the way home. It's like that level of stress.
I should ask you how your period was when you were growing up.
It actually, at first, it wasn't too bad. My childhood period wasn't too bad. It was like once I hit like probably 14 and like more life stresses came, then it started getting worse. But at first, like, I think before you were really hit by like aggressive problems in life, I did get mine a bit earlier, maybe like 12 or 13, but it started not too bad.
That's a pretty decent age. Like, I was getting mine a little bit later, and that's also like a messed up thing too, is like being in the sports world. If you didn't get your period until like you were 16, it was like
a status
you're
symbol.
So skinny, and like you just like you are weighing like nothing, and like you don't have your bleeding, you're not developing. It messed me up so hard.
What would you say are some symptoms that are commonly related to hormone imbalances or hormone overproduction, that if someone's like sitting at home, they're like, no, I'm fine, I'm going to keep drinking my coffee before I eat any food, or I'm like not going to make any of these changes? Like, what are some warning signs before something gets quite bad?
There's nothing screaming at me, but I understand what you're saying.
Do you pee in the middle of the night?
No.
So that would be one, is like constantly having to get up to pee.
That can be one. Is it hard for you to fall?
Try.
I'm going to try. I'm like, is it hard for you to fall asleep? Hard for you to wake up?
It's hard for me to wake up.
Okay.
It is very hard for you to wake up, actually.
They woke me up like 3-4 times today.
Yeah.
I fell back asleep every time.
Wow. Okay. So then, are you noticing that you get hangry?
What?
Like the actual hangriest person you've ever met. Yeah.
Interesting how I just went from that to that. Right? It's all connected, though. That's the funny thing, is like it's always going to be connected for us. So there's intricate choreography that's happening in our system. Nothing is a coincidence. From the craving that you get to the timing that it shows. It all means something. Where you get acne on your face means one thing, and when you get it in your cycle means another. It's all data. So question what's going on with your body. But if I were to lay out basic symptoms, like, peeing in the middle of the night, waking up between 3 and 5, sleeping for 7 to 8 hours and still feeling exhausted, having a hard time falling asleep, waking up. And then we could go into waking up and you're not hungry. You're not having 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. You're feeling fatigue. We're going into mood swings, breast tenderness. There could be random spotting that could be showing up. So let's say you've got your last period and your future period smack in the middle. Are you seeing any light pink spotting, brown spotting? Is there any cramping that's happening at that time, bloating or breast tenderness? Those all mean different things in comparison to when they would show up during your menstrual phase.
I'm getting red out here.
Oh,
do you need to take off your vest?
That's a lot of them.
You have a lot of them?
I have a lot of those things.
This session was for you.
Yeah. I'm already on my game. You're the one who needs to be convinced,
They didn't want to say
actually.
anything, but this was actually booked for you.
This is me.
This is actually an intervention.
I have some issues, So
well, I hope it is
do
an
have a-
intervention also for all of the listeners, too, is what I'm going to say.
With love.
With
Like,
love.
always so much love. Like, this
Yeah.
is not about like a call out or make you feel bad. It's always just like, let's start questioning things so we can start putting the pieces together so you can come back bigger, better, stronger, faster, being more productive. Because right now, society is kind of, especially with always having birth control at the palm of our hand, it's just kind of keeping us slow and dumb.
Yeah, I do sometimes have a hard time falling asleep. I have a harder time waking up, though, for sure. When I wake up, I'm not really hungry. And again, I drink coffee right away and then don't eat food for like a good bit after that. I'm also a very hangry person. I also do get spotting in the middle, in between periods.
Like, this is stuff that we have to think about. Why are you not hungry in the morning? If I'm telling you should be, can you start questioning it rather than just being like, yeah, well, that's just not like me. That's just, this is the way. Yeah, it's just like not my thing. But it's like your liver is trying to yell at you. And then it tried to get a little meaner and give you some period cramps and heavy periods, and you're still not listening to it. Like, it's a cute little liver. You're being so mean to it. Like, it did nothing to you except process all the shit that you've been putting in it.
It's taking the toxins out.
Now you're just like, you're being so mean to it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I tend to be tired throughout the day. I'm gathering the information.
You guys just got to know Carmen on another level.
Yeah.
Right? But like, I could connect all this. Like, you're feeling so tired because you're also waking up and you're not stabilizing your blood sugar. So cortisol is going up. So you're going to start seeing that brown spotting, and that's just a sign of the low progesterone. Progesterone, cortisol, like fighting for the same place. When you're feeling that fatigue, you're also going to have that hangry sensation later. That's going to come back to your blood sugar. So again, cortisol is going to increase, more cramps, heavy periods. You're going to develop cysts.
Okay.
Time to make some changes.
I think having this conversation is reminding me that there's so much conflicting information out there in terms of like diet culture. And I think that's also what gets us to this really bad point. Like, that's why I was like fasting all day and then eating like junk at the end of the day, because I'm like, oh, it reduces my calorie intake and blah, 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 blah. Like, there's so many different people who are going to tell you what's good for you, what's not good for you. And a lot of it's so different. And it can be very overwhelming to even start. So I feel like many people just don't start because of that, because they just like, I don't know what to believe or what's true. So how would you suggest that people cut through the noise and actually find what's right for them?
You have to start with blood work. Like, I can tell you to have all the veggies, whether you're menstruating, dealing with endometriosis, or if you are taking tea. And we get into this place of trying to always focus on veggies. But depending on where your thyroid levels are, your TSH, your T3, and T4, get all of it checked, push for it. But a lot of veggies can make it worse. So then you're feeling more fatigue. I wouldn't even be surprised if you're dealing with thyroid issues right now. You just don't know. Like, you've got all the symptoms for them. But it's always something to question and to see what's going on. And you can still get blood work back and everything comes back normal. And where you are, high or low in norm, is still affecting you. And somebody else who might be higher, you feel better than you when you are lower. Like, you always want to make sure when you are symptom-free, get blood work then. Because then you can really understand what your numbers are when you are feeling your best. So you can always refer back.
You mentioned that some veggies, depending on the issues that you have, might hurt you rather than help you. Can we expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So cruciferous vegetables, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, they have this certain chemical that suppresses the thyroid. That's where so many people, like, they're trying to eat better, they're trying to eat healthier, and they have the best intention, but they're not understanding how this could be actually harming the thyroid even more. And even same goes for supplements that are out there. If you don't know where your blood work is, there's so many people throwing out the word Vitex and Chaseberry and thinking that's going to be the end-all, be-all supplement, which for a lot of people it can be depending on where their LH and prolactin levels are. Otherwise, if you suppress the wrong thing, your mood swings are going to be way worse.
One thing I learned recently, too, is just how hard so many supplements can be on your liver as well. And just like taking this big unnecessary cocktail of all of these different nutrients that you may not even need can actually be more harmful for you in the long run as well.
A lot of people don't consider that these supplements, for one, do not work in a bad environment. You're just stressing the liver out for sure. But then the other component is that when you are taking supplements, you need to support the environment that it's going into. So a lot of people aren't taking a probiotic, or they aren't taking L-glutamine, or knack or milk thistle, something to support that elimination system so that the body can absorb and process efficiently.
You've mentioned a few like tidbits along the way, especially with like the elimination system for people who are on hormone therapy. And I'm wondering if there's anything like remaining, like anything more comprehensive that people should really consider looking into or taking on for themselves.
Yeah, when you're taking T, it's not going to be about progesterone anymore. When you're menstruating, it's all about supporting progesterone so you can be completely symptom-free of all these symptoms, right? But when it comes to taking T, it needs to be more about the elimination system and blood sugar. You're going to start noticing the PMS symptoms, the mood swings, but your T is always going to cut out progesterone, which is your natural chill pill.
Yeah.
So now, how do you
You're
naturally
like raging
chill?
and
So
you're snapping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you really want to focus still on protein, supporting your blood sugar. So that might mean, because like, yeah, you're increasing your testosterone. Your metabolism is naturally going to speed up. It's supposed to. Do not judge yourself, think that you should be cutting out food. It needs to be about eating more proteins, fats, carbs, veggies. I'm going to say every like 3-4 hours. And there is a myth that you shouldn't be eating past 7 p.m. If you are eating dinner at 6 and you go to bed at 12, that's 6 hours of not eating. Of course, you're going to feel...
You got to fuel the binge watching.
Yeah. Exactly. But you actually have to. Yeah. You have to, because otherwise we're going to have those mood swings that are going to be showing up for you later on. So blood sugar regulation is a big one. And then also still supporting the liver. I would just do it in a different way. So the focus needs to be more about how is your liver metabolizing estrogen? So now your body's taking all this estrogen and it's so used to trying to metabolize it all at once. And that's where we can start having all these other issues. You want to help your body take that estrogen and break it up into little bite-sized pieces. So coming back to that bottleneck example, DIM supports the bottle. Sulforaphane.
Are these all supplements?
Those are all supplements. Sulforaphane supports the bottleneck, right? So DIM is made out of the cruciferous veggies, broccoli, cauliflower, but without the fiber, which is great in this scenario. Sulforaphane can be found in broccoli sprouts, which is different than broccoli. But it's so cool that a lot of these foods can complement supplements too, whichever way you want to do it. You want to make sure that the liver is always supported. We want to make sure that we've got these clear signs that things are working, things are processing, and we are not congesting the liver even more.
Would you have advice for anyone who's like newly taking or just has been taking estrogen for a while and is like now kind of experiencing PMS and mood swings and all of these wonderful aspects?
Yeah. Try to always eat in an anti-inflammatory way. So think more omega-3s or omega-3 based foods. So a lot of my Period Lab babes, we incorporate period foods and period carbs. So what I'm referring to for period carbs is actually more root vegetables. So grains slow down how the body metabolizes estrogen. We love estrogen. And if you're taking estrogen, you must really love it. And we love grains. Yeah. We're not trying to have a bad relationship with it, but incorporating in more root veggies is a great way to just help your body process that estrogen. And then eating an anti-inflammatory way. So if you were to catch COVID, what would you do? For me, that's like garlic, ginger, turmeric, bone broth, seafood, omega-3 based foods, right? Just help your body process that estrogen as much as you can.
If it all seems a bit overwhelming and you would recommend them to start with just one thing, what would be like the number one thing that you'd recommend?
Food before coffee.
Okay.
Really? That's like the biggest thing for everyone?
Damn.
It's actually like a really big topic on my platform, because what that means is then the liver's going to start kicking in. We're going to start stabilizing blood sugar. You're going to start increasing the protein naturally. You're going to have to start finding other things that need to handle that appetite that's no longer going to be suppressed. Like it's crazy how much that one move is actually a downstream effect. I'm not attacking you.
How you start your
I'm
day.
about to change my life, y'all. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Glow up.
See, I have a thing where like I am trying to have a glow up every decade. So like 30s was like, it's like, okay, hair change.
Yeah.
All this 20s was like, okay, I'm gay now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
40s,
You're gonna
I'm
change your
gonna
diet?
have like my system biohacked. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be insane.
50s,
Watch out,
maybe-
world.
50s, once all of that is done, maybe I'll get tattoos.
Cool.
You're gonna
We'll
wait
see.
that long to get tattoos?
Yeah, I'll just get cooler and cooler.
That's fair.
You can't do it all at once. That's just
Yeah,
not
Get
fair
like a
for
coffee
others.
mug
It's
right
a
there
build up.
on
It's
your-
a build up.
Do you have anything that you would like to plug for people? Where can people find you if they want to get started on their own journey?
Okay, so you can find me at the Period Lab. Every single month we have a newsletter that goes out, and I do a full-blown Q&A deep dive. So we really try to make sure that the Period Lab is not just some kind of platform that you're seeing information, but you feel like you are being heard and seen. So I'm always asking, what do you want to know? And I am trying to reach out almost to every single person that is following. So it's a lot of work, but I want to make sure that you feel seen, heard, and we're engaging, that this is like a little Instagram corner that is actually giving you answers, not just another thing that you're following here. So sign up for the newsletter. We've got some events that are coming up, and one is going to be for International Women's Month, and we are inviting all the queers, the BIPOC, and a lot of people from the shelter as well too, Redwood. We want to make sure that everybody is being seen and heard, and we have this insane panel going to be hearing from myself, nutritionist, a psychologist, a neurologist, and a researcher from CAMH. So it's like we're trying to put everybody who would know about this information in front of you. You can just go off and you can ask all your questions. So we've got events that are happening like this quarterly. And then you can always book a Zoom call with me, and we can always chat one-on-one, and we can see if we're the right fit. I want to make sure it always feels good for you, but know that you are going to be learning. You are not just getting some meal plan and list of supplements and off you go. You are in it for the long haul, which is like technically 4 months to be symptom-free. That's pretty fast.
Nice.
We've learned today.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Miranda, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you want to dive deeper into all things period related and menstrual cycle, we actually have an episode with Elgin and the Period Purse. It's called Can Men Get Periods? Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, make sure to leave us a 5-star review, because it really does help the podcast out. That's everything that we got. And until next time, peace.